Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana Qamar Uzzaman Saheb Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Friday night at Darul Uloom Kantaria in Bharuch, Gujarat, India. Friday night, the 23rd of Ramadan 1444, corresponding with the English date 14th of April 2023. This Majlis took place after the Taraweeh Salat. Hazrat Wala starts off this Majlis by quoting the ayat of the Quran Majid, Al-Yawma akmaltu lakum deenakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakum al-Islam deena. Dosto, Buzrugo, friends and elders, this is a very famous ayat. Rather, it gives the glad tidings of the perfection and the completion of the deen. The people, the Qawm, the nation of Musa alayhi salatu wassalam and Isa alayhi salatu wassalam were waiting for the deen and the ta'limat of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam to come, because their deen was presented to them, but it was not brought to the point of perfection and completion. There was this structure with one brick outstanding. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam then came and fitted in and filled in that brick. The deen is kamil. When we say kamil and complete, we don't just mean in word, rather in every aspect. In our aqaid, in every aspect, we don't need to go to anyone. Hidayat has come. There is no need to go to the Yahud or the Nasara. There was one disbeliever who made an objection on an Arabi, a simple villager, Sahabi of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How is it your Nabi teaches you how to go to the toilet and washing do this and that and the other? Hazrat Shah Anwar Sahib makes kalam on this year, and he says that this Sahabi then answers, and he goes on to make kalam on it, that this year was actually a manifestation, this incident with the Sahabi and how he answers, of the takmeel of the deen, the completion of the deen of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rather, the Sahabi answered that this year is a sign of the deen being complete, perfect, and that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has even taught us how to go and relieve ourselves and how do we wash ourselves. Deen is not just the name of Salat and Roza, rather of everything. Nashist or Barkhast, how to sit, how to stand, how to come, how to go, how to relieve oneself, and how to wash. So much so that do not make istinja by means of bones, because this year is the khorak and the diet of your brothers from amongst the jinn, and not even with that of things which are najis and impure, because that would lead to you becoming impure to a greater extent. So the Sahabi then goes on to say, most definitely the Nabi of Allah taught us. Rather, it is a sign of the perfection and the completion of the deen. So ordinary simple Sahabi was able to answer questions of people who are alim of the Torah and the Injil. And the reason of all of this is कि ये Hazrat deen समझ चुके. They understood the deen completely and totally. What was the adab? What was the etiquette? So we need to learn all of these things. There was a great alim, and he says himself that for his talim of hadith, he went out to learn, and he learned that for 1 year, but he stayed for another 9 years to learn akhlaq and adab. It is written about Hujjatul Islam, Hazrat Maulana Qasim Nanotwi, that not learning or studying so much or this or that, but rather all in all what he achieved was because of the barakat of his adab. So the adab and the respect of one's asatiza. And then after that, what happened? He superseded and he beat the rest and went forward. Now, Hazrat Wala quotes those ash'ar, khum ke az darya dar u rahi shuwad, pesh u he jawhun ha zanu zanad. That earthen pot that is connected to the ocean, will there be any deficiency in it? Will its water ever come to an end? Allahu Akbar. जिस मत के समंदर से जुड़े हुए है, तो क्या उसका पानी कभी खत्म हो सकता है? Will its water ever come to an end? Never. On one occasion, Hazrat Gangohi said to Hazrat Maulana Qasim Saheb that you are an imam of the kulliyat, the principles. And then Hazrat Maulana Qasim Saheb said to him, yes, and you are an imam of the juziyat, of the little bylaws and the masail. This was the adab that these people had. So the ilm was coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Haji Sahib's ilm was from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why these great personalities all then came and they sat in front of him and they learned. Now, Bukhari Sharif also, if you look at the abwab in the start there, you will find so many of that is got to do with adab. The topic and the discussions there are regarding adab, etiquettes, manners. But what to do and what to say. अब बुखारी शरीफ पढ़ाने वाले खुद बेअदब हो गए. That today the teachers of Bukhari Sharif themselves have become uncultured. They don't have adab themselves. They are ready to remark, make kalam and write on Bukhari Sharif. However, they don't know the adab and the etiquette of Imam Bukhari himself. Imam Bukhari says that on the day of Qiyamah, when I go to Allah, Allah will not ask me about ghibat and backbiting, because I did not make ghibat in my entire life. Allahu Akbar. And ulama have written that ghibat se bachna siddiqin ka kaam hai. To stay away and protect yourself from backbiting is actually the high level of the siddiqin. And we learn from this here that Imam Bukhari was from amongst the siddiqin. Now at every breath and at every step of the way, if we are in ghibat and shikayat, then how will we have inshirah? And how will this heart of ours open up? And how will fuyuz and barakat enter into it? At-turuku kulluha adab. This path, tariq to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all in all of it has got to do with adab, culture, manners, etiquettes, etc. Hazrat Tanvi, Hazrat Gangohi, how they went and what adab they set in front of Hazrat Haji Sahib. On one occasion, Hazrat Haji Sahib brought Hazrat Maulana Yaqub Sahib along, who was the Sadr Mudarris of Darul Uloom Deoband. He was the Ustad of Hazrat Tanvi. And he said, Hazrat, I'm leaving him here and we're going to Madina Munawwara and we'll come then again after that. Hazrat Haji Sahib said, yes, not a problem. But bolenge nahi. He will not speak. He should not speak. Nevertheless, they went and they came back. And the first thing that Hazrat Haji Sahib had to say was, I said just one thing. I made an appeal and a request just for him to do one thing. Lekin mujhse pehle wo bolne lagte the, that before I can even speak, he starts speaking. So he had ilm, but there was some type of deficiency, adab ki kami thi, in the aspect of adab and respect. So his ilm was so much, and his amal also was so famous, etc. Great alim, the Ustad of Hazrat Tanvi. We learn here, Hazrat Wala is saying that there were certain amongst the mashayikh, Hazrat Wala is saying, the name is escaping my mind now, that they would come and sit in front of the doorstep at the threshold of the ustads, but they would never ever knock the door. They would wait there for hours, and eventually when the ustad would then appear at the door, open the door and say, but why are you sitting here? Why didn't you knock? I said, no, Hazrat, I didn't want to inconvenience you. I did not know in what type of condition you could have been, busy or this or that or the other. So the adab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the adab of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and the adab of one's sheikh. So this place here is a place of tariq. I just come now and Dantiya. I scolded them. I reprimanded them. They could have even been alim and allamas there. I come out from Istinja, and at that time, that is not the time to make musafaha. I would like to wash up. I would like to even porch. I would like to dry my hands and then sit. I go and relieve myself. I come. My breath starts. I start getting short breath. Pulne lagti hai. And I like to sit for a while. So this is all adab, etc. But you people don't know that. Maybe when you get old, you will come to know about that. In Hazrat Tanvi, the couplets that are written there is all regarding not inconveniencing anyone. Rather, all in all of his talimat was about that. This was the khususiyat there. कि किसी को कोई कुल्फत न पहुंचे, that don't inconvenience anyone at any time. Hazrat Maulana Ali Mia also went there, and Hazrat Tanvi then did not give him the permission when he asked that I want to sit in the sabak of the ustads there. He said, no, I don't give you the permission. And after a long time, Hazrat Maulana Ali Mia said this to me. He said, at that time the thought came into my mind that Hazrat doesn't want me to sit in the majlis there, but it came to my mind, it was the adab, and it was the etiquette, and it was the manners that were taught there. If I had to go and sit there, the ustad would have takalluf that I'm an Ali Medine, there's students there, he would be hesitant in his speech, this, that and the other, he would be inconvenienced. And he went on also to say that agar in adab ki riayat na karte, to itna kaam na hota, itna kaam na kar sakte. That if Hazrat Tanvi did not take into consideration all these adab and in etiquettes, etc., and these rules that he had in place, such a great work would have never ever been accomplished. Or he would have not done such a great work. Hazrat Tanvi taught adab. In Patna, there was this great judge. And then they said, who's this person here? So great, everything, referring to Hazrat Tanvi. And then it's absolutely impossible for him to be ill-tempered or to have a bad character, bad khulq. No. And he cannot be sakht and harsh like this here. Nevertheless, he sent people, and they went and they sat and they seen and they came back. And then he said, Kaisa raha? Kya paya? How did you stay? What did you achieve? What did you see? And then he answered that dunya be usul ho gaya. Aur wo ba usul hai. That the dunya has become such a place that's got no rules, no regulations. People do what they want, how they want, where they want, when they want. And this man is a man of principle. Hazrat Sayyid Sulaiman Nadwi, was it him? Or was it Hazrat Maulana Abdul Bari Nadwi? Somebody asked them about Hazrat Tanvi, that what did you achieve and what happened there and what's it about? What is this that we are hearing that he is so strict and so people would say then at that time harsh? So they said, no, tell me, see this place here is clean, isn't it? What do you think at this time here if somebody comes and spits here? Would you not be inconvenienced? Or would that not bother you? And they said, most definitely. He says, that's exactly the thing. That he's telling people like that. They would come there with their pan and spit here and spit there, etc. And he was a man of principle, that the place is clean. How dare you spit like that? And this was actually the tajdidi karnama of Hazrat Tanvi. He's from amongst his greatest reformatory works was adab-e-mu'asharat, how to stay with people in society. I went to Tana Bhawan. I was invited there, and they are taking me somewhere else. And they are stopping me from going here and going here. And this is what's happening. And I'm saying, but I've been invited, take me to that place. In all of this year, the time is exhausted. They're taking me here and there, but not to the place that I was invited to, where I was actually supposed to go to. And then they said, okay, now Hazrat, what will we do? The time is exhausted. What majlis will we have? And then I said to them, no ways. I will most definitely have a majlis. And I went there and I spoke. That what is it that you people staying in this place, such a great place, Tanabawan, where the great saint hailed from, Hazrat Maulana Ashraf Ali Tanvi. I will speak. And I spoke then about adab and muasharat. I spoke about adab at that particular junction. And I said to them that the amount of be'adabi that I see in here, in Tanabawan, I didn't see anywhere else. Meaning, you people have forgotten about the Buzruk that hailed and came from this place. What was his teachings? You are staying here. What was his teachings? What did he teach? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam himself said, علمني ربي فأحسن تعليمي وأدبني ربي فأحسن تأديبي. My Rabb taught me knowledge and he perfected my knowledge. And not only that, it did not stop there. My Allah also taught me adab, and he brought my adab to fruition, to completion, to perfection. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Halima Sa'diyah, the lady who had breastfed him, when she would arrive and make her appearance, when she would come along, then Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would stand. He would spread out his chadar and his cloth, his shawl for her. When the blind Sahabi came, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would stand, would honor him, would spread out something for him, and all of this, what he would say, it is because of him that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reprimanded me in the Quran. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam then learned something from Allah, due to which he started making adab of this person because he was the means. Allahu Akbar. So adab ki riayat, taking into consideration adab, respect, manners, culture, etiquette. This Allah wale karte hai. This you will find at the Allah walas. Allama Ibrahim Balyawi stopped his safar. And what was his reason? He couldn't travel at that time. He was weak. He reached old age. And what was his tamanna? Ke mazar Qasimi mein mujhe dafan kiya jaye. That I should be buried in that enclosure of Qasimi, where all the ulama and the saintly people were buried. I want to be buried there. But after that, when he realized something absolutely amazing, that his own student Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb had been blessed with such a great nisbat with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, such a daulat, that he cancelled that what he had made intention for, that I will not make safar, and then he travelled. But when he came, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb made lihaz of him being an ustad. That listen, he has become my murid, that's in its place, but he is still my ustad, and he took into consideration those adab and those etiquettes, that he is still my ustad. But Hazrat Allama Ibrahim Balyawi, despite being the ustad, he took into consideration these etiquettes. But now I have become a murid and I've handed myself over to him. So then he completely annihilated and carried out self-effacement and humbled himself totally in front of his own student, who then became his peer and his sheikh. Allahu Akbar. Adab ke riayat. It comes in the hadith that if any person leave alone sheikh and ustad and this and that and the other, just on the mere basis of being an old person, he honors him, he respects him, and he does what he has to do, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will then designate for him in his old age people to do, because of the barakat of that. Allahu Akbar. So it is on the basis of age, not on the basis of certain person being an ustad or this or that. Look at that. That's what this hadith teaches us. So, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, people used to read in the newspapers, on the internet, or whatever it was, in the newspapers, or they would hear there, or from some books they would hear some English sayings, etc. And they would come and say it. And at that time, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab would be absolutely disgusted that you can remember that. You found out that, but you know nothing about the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his etiquettes. So the Arabi and the villager gives such a beautiful answer which denotes and shows, rather he speaks about that this shows actually the Kamal and the Jamal, the beauty and the perfection of the deen. This is Shariat Muhammadi. You know, tafassahu fil majalis, making way and shifting up a bit to make way in a gathering. You know, mujhe kehna padta hai. I got to say it when people come and sit. That shift a bit, somebody has just entered and he's standing there and he's waiting. I mean, there is place, you can shift a bit. I got to say it. Even seniors, I got to say it to them. There's no only qadr and appreciation and honor and adab for Laylatul Qadr. No, the whole deen, all and all of it is adab and adab. So the Yahud and the Nasara said, when they heard this, that this particular ayat was revealed, they said, we would make it the day of our Eid. So they were told at that time, yes, it is our Eid as well. Today is the day of Jumu'ah. On one occasion, Hazrat Maulana Habibur Rahman Azmi came to Baitul Ma'arif. It was after Asr Salat, and I requested him that Hazrat say something. Then he starts off, Alhamdulillahi nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi. He goes on reading the entire Masnoon khutbah. And after that, he says 2-3 lines of nasihat. And then he says that I wanted the barakat, and I wanted to say the entire khutbah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because that's his. And what I'm about to say and pass on over to you, this is mine. Now look at the adab of these personalities. Allahu Akbar. Whoever reached, whoever accomplished, jo bhi pauncha, adab se pauncha. Whoever reached, whoever accomplished, whoever made it, whoever excelled, whoever went far in life, it was because of this adab. Hazrat Maulana Qasim Sahab, I just said to you people, it was because of his adab that he became Hujjatul Islam. What about Hazrat Sayyid Sahab? His horse needed to reach Delhi from Lucknow, and his murid, Hazrat Maulana Shah Ismail Shaheed, took that horse and he got it to Delhi. Where's Lucknow? Where's Delhi? He took that horse. He did not mount that horse, that this is the horse of my Peer and my Sheikh. Rather, he went along walking, and he had that animal, that horse, conveyed in that manner to Delhi. So this was Hazrat Maulana Ismail Shaheed. Hazrat Sayyid Sahab was not an alim, but Hazrat Maulana Shah Ismail Shaheed was an alim par excellence. But he turned to Hazrat Maulana Sayyid Sahab and made him his sheikh. And I'll tell you about all of this here, that he heard from here and here from there, that about Hazrat Sayyid Sahab, that he was such a great alim and this and that. So he said, come, let's go and let's put him to test, and let's ask him to teach us how to read Salat. So he then goes there and then he says that Hazrat, 2 rakat sunnat wali namaz padha dijiye. Teach us and show us how to read 2 rakats of sunnat salat according to the sunnah. Now what type of capacity, what type of nur and barakat was in the bosom of Hazrat Sayyid Sahab, that he goes on to say, and he just uttered one sentence, Teek, not a problem, wuzu kar lo, sunnat ke mutabik. Carry out wudu. But listen, carry it out how? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam carried it out. But he just had to say that such a type of a state overwhelmed Hazrat Maulana Shah Ismail Shaheed that his entire body started vibrating and he started shivering. What was Hujjatullah al-Baligha in front of Hazrat Maulana Ismail Shaheed? It's such a great kitab, no doubt. But in front of him, what was that kitab? He could have written that same kitab himself. Nevertheless, he goes and he makes the wudu with so much of discipline and so much of thought, keeping in his mind that how did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam make that wudu? He made that wudu and then he started reading that salat, trying to read that salat. He reads 2 salats and then he reckons himself and he says, but Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't read salat like this. And then he reads it again and he says, no man, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam couldn't have read a salat like this. And he carries on doing that the entire night, and he makes mourning in that manner that he's asking Allah, forgive me, Allah make me maaf. Allah make me maaf. Allah make me maaf. Allah make me maaf that I couldn't read that salat in that manner. Forgive me, make me maaf for that. Nevertheless, with so much of hesitation and reluctance, they cried. And with so much of hesitation and reluctance, they come the next morning. They come the next morning and they say to Hazrat Sayyid Saheb that Hazrat, he asked them, did you read the salat? Did you read the salat? And he says that Hazrat, what salat could I read of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? But this is what I done. So he said, that is exactly the salat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which the Sahaba carried out, and the Quran speaks about. The ayat are there. You can go through it. وَبِالْأَسْحَارِ هُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib used to quote this incident abundantly of Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayh, that he read salat behind the Imam in the masjid. The Imam recited Surah Zilzal in the salat. فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. The Imam Sahib finished his salat, finished up everything, and he goes to his private chamber, which was just adjacent to the masjid. And Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Sahib, such a type of spiritual state overwhelmed him. Rather, he was reduced to tears. He wept the entire night that, oh, that Zat. He was so affected by those ayat that, oh, that Zat who will reward with an atom amount of good, he will reward with the beautiful gifts, and he will punish with the atom amount of evil with that punishment on the day of Qiyamah. Forgive, save this Abd Nu'man from the fire of Jahannam. He would quote this and he says that we are ulama here sitting and we follow the maslak of the Ahnaf, Imam Abu Hanifa. We know his masail, etc. But how many of us follow his hal? Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of understanding the deen. Today there's a great need for that. So it is not just the appreciation and the adab and the respect of this night, it is the adab of everything else. The adab of ilm. Hazrat Maulana Ali Miyasa, I used to go and spend Shab-e Qadr, the 27th night with him every year. And then after that I got called here to you people here in Gujarat. But then I wrote to him and I said, Hazrat, I used to come and spend time with you, but I'm not there with you anymore. But then too, apne tawajjuh mabzool farma lijiye, that continue keeping your special attention on me. Allahu Akbar. He would say that Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha asked Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam what to do on the night of Qadr. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam then answered, this is what you must do. And he read that dua, he made talqeen of that. So at this time here, we are thinking of Hazrat Maulana Ali Mia Sahab, we are thinking of Hazrat Maulana Rabi Sahab. And when I went to Nadwa and I said, what usloob and husn Hazrat Maulana Ali Mia ran this particular institution, rather he matched it up and he connected it to that of Darul Uloom Deoband with so much of i'tidal and moderation. And I said that Allah Ta'ala give Maulana Rabi Sahab the hidayah to do that as well. So Al-Maulana Ali Mia Sahab actually done that, due to which Nadwa reached that particular level. So when I was there just a few days ago, with Hazrat Maulana Rabi Sahab, I was giving a majlis there and I was speaking about Muhabbat, that if there is love, wherever you go in the world, whether it is in any institution, whether it is in the homes, whether it is in the masajid, if there is no Muhabbat, there will be badgumani, the entertaining of evil thoughts. You will think bad about that fellow person because there is no love. But if there is love, you will cover that up completely. You'll say, no, it's not like that. It can't be like that. So, al-hubbu asasi, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that love is my foundation. When the Nabi of Allah says this here, or has mentioned this here, then how can the Ummah ever leave this out? So I said this in front of the Shura there. I attend that day every year, and there's people from all around the world that were there. Allah Ta'ala. So this year tonight is the 23rd night here. At least we make that intention. Tonight could also be that qadr. Make that irada, and Allah Ta'ala will bless us. And that wazifa that Hazrat Aisha radiallahu ta'ala had taught us, Allahumma innaka afuwun tuhibbul afwa fa'afu anni. Oh Allah, you are most forgiving, you love to forgive, therefore forgive us. But Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said this to his most beloved wife. He didn't tell her, sit away, relax Aisha. No, he said to her that if you find qadr, Laylatul Qadr, then do this year. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for maghfirat by means of these words. Today the peers are telling their children, no, don't worry. Everything is done. It's a done deal. Relax. Sleep away. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of walking this path to Him. Muhabbatullahi ala qismain. The love of Allah can be divided into two categories. Fardun wa nudubun. Fard and mandub. وَكَذَلِكَ مُحَبَّةُ الرَّسُولِ. And similarly, the muhabbat of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam into categories. So, adab ashab deen. What about the adab of the Sahaba that we're supposed to have? Today, we just speak anyhow. We are born today and we want to talk. And whatever has been coming for 1400 years was because of their barakat, and you want to open your mouth against them, the Sahaba. Allahu Akbar. कामयाबी तो काम से होगी, न कि हुस्न कलाम से होगी, जिक्र के इल्तिज़ाम से होगी, फ़िक्र के एहतिमाम से होगी, और अपने अकाबिरीन साबिकीन की इत्तिबा से होगी. अपने अकाबिरीन साबिकीन की इत्तिबा से होगी. So those couplets come to an end there, but I'm saying end this year, add this as well, that kamyabi and success will not just come with sweet talks, rather it will come with work. You have to do something. After you leave here, go and do something. Zikr, consistency with the dhikr of Allah and having fikr for one's islah, but together with that, do not forget about how your akabirin lived all of this year. Kitabullah, Sunnat Rasul, and the Sirat Salaf. Don't forget the Sirat Salaf. Let us make dua. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of understanding the deen. Not only us, rather the entire world. So when you stay on this deen, nobody will be able to harm you. Rather, la darara wa la dirara fil Islam. That in deen, the actual deen is this year, that you do not harm anyone and no one should harm you as well. Al-Muslim, man salim al-Muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadih. A true, genuine Muslim is the one whom others are safe from the harm of his tongue and his hands. Rather, not only Muslims, even non-Muslims should be saved ज़बान की लग़ज़िश से बचाओ. गैर मुस्लिम को भी अपनी ज़बान की लग़ज़िश से बचाओ. Let even non-Muslims be saved from the slips of your tongue. And this is not only for you, rather for your children as well. For your children as well. Teach your children this also today, and tomorrow you will appreciate it. Tomorrow you will understand the benefit of it. فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةِ فَقَدْ فَازَ. Whoever has been distanced from the fire of Jahannam and been admitted into Jannah, indeed he has become successful. Allah Ta'ala accept and give us the tawfiq and the hidayah of making amal. Allahumma innaka afuwun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna. Allahumma innaka afuwun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna. Allahumma innaka afuwun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna. Allah Ta'ala make the maghfirat of all Hazrat Maulana Ali Mian Saheb, Hazrat Maulana Rabi Saheb, and Allah bless them with His maghfirat and with His رضا. Rather, all the marhumin, all of us also, ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.